Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's already cold outside, so I think the warmth is supposed to come from this room that will radiate all the way outside, isn't it? Well, thank you so much for coming and for having me here. I know many of us spent the whole night waiting for Santa Claus to come and give us gifts. I was only told in the morning that I am too old. What a disappointment. So, my name is Cissy Nalumansi. I am a filmmaker and storyteller from Kampala, Uganda. Yay! Yeah, so many of the stories that I focus on are primarily to tell authentic stories from the African perspective. Over time, I've realized that media is very, very important in shaping the image of how things are looked at all over the world. And so I'm playing my part in changing the narrative by telling authentic stories, one story at a time. So I grew up in a small town in Entebbe called Kabale. And while there, I remember my parents forbade us from associating with a certain family. They were called the Chimeras. Now the Chimeras were in the neighborhood, and our parents said, you can't go to their homes. Those people are very dangerous people. So it was believed that the Chimeras were cannibals. And in their houses, you see, we have a lot of mats in Uganda, and it is simple to find a home that is really empty but just covered up by mats, and so people just sit down and socialize and talk and eat and do everything else. So it was believed that the Chimeras had holes dug under the mats. So if you sit, you just sink in and you would be their next meal. So people were very afraid of going to the Chimera's house. And Entebbe, sharing a piece of Lake Victoria, I don't know if we know Lake Victoria, but sharing a piece of Lake Victoria, it would rain almost every day. But it didn't matter. If it coughed ice pellets or danced a thunderstorm, you would not go to the Chimera's house and you would be warned. So one day, one of the family members of the Chimeras died. Ooh, you should have seen the discomfort as people were trying to figure out, am I sitting under the hole or near the hole? Am I going to sink in and become their next meal? It was such a horrible experience during the wake and the burial. But turns out on that day, or surprisingly, no one sank into the hole. No. I think some people were expecting that this would happen so that whatever they believed would come to be true. But it didn't happen. And did the house have an eerie feeling about it? Maybe yes, but nobody died on that day. And looking back, I realized that the Chimeras suffered from this stereotype about them for so long, and it affected them in ways that actually we, the outsiders, would never, ever understand. And eventually they moved from the village and settled somewhere else. But I think that was the very first time I realized how powerful information is and what good or bad it can do depending on who is sharing this information. Now, I know we've been down this road several times, but indulge me a little bit when I ask this question. What comes to your mind every time someone says Africa? Just close your eyes right now and let the word Africa pop in. So just think about it. You know, I asked this question before this meeting, and these are some of the answers I was getting. When I think about Africa, I think poverty. They've said this a lot, poverty. And some people, they said, beautiful girls. They say that. I think we are beautiful people, isn't it? Yay! So, and other people were saying, no technology, no modernization. Others were saying safari, lions, and many other things. But then I realized we can't really blame them because these perceptions were passed on by somebody else. So really, they are okay saying what they are saying until somebody else tells them otherwise. So then I started to think, but what about Europe? To the people living here, that's if you were not born here. What was that very, very first thought that came to your mind when somebody said Europe? When you closed your eyes like this and Europe came? To me, the very first time I traveled, I thought winter. And so I came so excited to interact with winter for the first time, but look outside, this is so disappointing. You know, my stereotype has just been, killed, murdered, choked. But yeah, I thought winter. I thought better studying opportunities. I think for many African scholars who came here, they were looking at the good opportunities of studying and many other things. And then also those notions were passed on by someone. Has any of you Googled Uganda recently? No one? Well, I did. That's Uganda. Yeah, you see, well, there is good things. They're telling you the best time to visit Uganda. Now that is the very first front page of Google when I Googled Uganda. Best time to visit Uganda. And then there's someone here who say, come and help our community in Uganda. And then there's somewhere here where police officers are hustling. I hope you can see. They're hustling a native. They're trying to arrest them or grab them or whatever. So it's a lot of mixed feelings. And I saw this is how we are represented. This is the first information I'm getting about a country. So every time I say Uganda and people Google, this is what they're going to see. Now, who wants to go to such a space where they're going to grab you off the street or do whatever they want with you? Obviously, no one would want that. So I was like, okay, now let me Google the Netherlands. Look at that. It's beautiful. I love the flowers. I mean, if I can't live there, at least bury me there. I mean, so I saw the best 10 cities in the Netherlands. Come to the Netherlands, study in the Netherlands. And I'm like, why are these notions so different? In Kampala, we have beautiful spaces. We have spaces in Muyenga, Kololo, Bugolobi. They are very, very uprising and beautiful cities. But I don't see them. I see, where is Uganda on African map? Do you see? People are doubting where Uganda is. So it is crazy. It is so crazy. And I wondered, like, okay, these are innocent people who have posted this content, but it is shaping the way Uganda is looked at indirectly. And so the very first time when I just come to Uganda, I took a few photos just for my social media platform. You want to see the photos? Of course. Yay! There I am. Okay, I look like I just popped out of a cannonball on fire, but the background is great. And this is what I do. Every time I go to a new country, I look for a nice spot and I take photos so that I can make my ancestors jealousy in Uganda. So there I am. I think there would be jealousy. But why is it that to some people, when they travel, that is what they take? Like, why is it that, you know, they look, hopefully no one in this room does this, yeah, but they look for photos with children who are on the streets, street children, and those are the photos they take. Indirectly, maybe it is what is happening, obviously, but indirectly they are shaping the image of how we are looked at. Because every time you are going to Google Uganda or an African country, this is going to be what you experience. Now, I know for a fact that there's a lot of things happening on the African continent. But I've also come to believe that our challenges as a continent are not so different from other challenges on other continents, you know. There is a Luganda saying that buli omu wali walabira enjuba n'omwezi, which means wherever you are, you experience your sun differently. There are wars, there is violence, there are famine and other global issues. So they are not identical to Uganda or Africa as a culture. So why is it that usually this is the information that we get out there? And so I do believe that Africa as a continent is bigger than the challenges that we are facing. We are beautiful people, we are spiritual people, we have a lot of tapped and untapped potential, a lot of good things that are happening on the continent. But I think it is high time that we moved past the notions that are on social media and look at our continent a bit different. So you see, Ugandans, we do a lot of herbal medicine. Like we take up, my mother gave me a lot of what we call mululuza. I don't know if any of us knows bitter leaves.
Yes.
Yeah, I was given a lot of bitter leaves growing up, you know, for cough, I mean, like, it feels like it can heal anything at this point, yeah, but I was given it for cough, I was given it for malaria, yes, absolutely malaria, I was given it for diarrhea as well. So, and the challenge is many people don't know about this. And because herbal medicine usually doesn't have side effects, we would want for it to be exposed and known by many, many people. But How do we, I think today we have an opportunity to create a platform where we can dialogue and exchange information about two worlds, you know, so that you can know about my mluluza and I get to know about other drugs that you have or other herbal medicines that you have in your country, so they can both shine like the traditional magical healers that they are. And I think also our parents growing up, they used to share information about history, about culture, about all these beautiful things. Like for instance, I don't know, I don't have a photo for that, but we have so many. Uganda is based on clans and tribes. So we have the Ngabi clan in Buganda culture, and they are impeccable for their physiotherapy skills. Like you get your bone broken, and in just a short time, like a week, the best thing that your people can actually do for you is to identify a physiotherapist in Gabi clan. So those people just have magical hands. But it's really, really, really frustrating if somebody got their hand broken over here and they can't even identify or locate a Gabi clan physiotherapist, you know. So my point today is what I really, really would advocate for all of us is, if we want to debunk notions, if we want to change the stereotypes about these different cultures, then we have to immerse. We have to find a way to learn about these cultures. You get to learn about Ngabi clan people. I get to learn about what you do or what your culture is. It is truly, truly frustrating to understand or to kill the stereotypes if you're looking at them from the outside. But when we sit on the table, you get to realize why I chew so loudly, yet you chew so quietly. Then we understand each other from the different perspectives. You stop to stereotype me and I stop to stereotype you too, because now I understand who you truly, truly are. Now, these people have always, when I was younger, they used to baffle me a lot. Oh, this is the Mluluza, yay. So, the Maasais in Kenya and the South Sudanese and the Karimajongs in northern Uganda used to baffle me a lot. I hope we can all see them. They used to baffle me a lot with their facial markings, the ear piercings. You know, they do that a lot. It sort of feels like an initiation from being a child into adulthood. But for a long time I wondered, why would anyone do this to themselves? I can even imagine that the process would be extremely painful, but they do it. In Uganda, we have the Bagisu who circumcise, and that is the way they transition from being a child to being a man now. And it doesn't matter if you're hiding in Kampala, they get a troop, they locate you, whether you want it or you don't want it, they will circumcise you, no questions asked. So I kept imagining, why would somebody do this? What? I kept questioning so many cultures, but I was doing it from the outside. Until one moment, when I was putting earrings in my ear, that I realized I had a hole too. Maybe his is bigger and mine is smaller, but I have a hole too. So why would I explain my hole to be okay and right, and yet I look at his bigger hole as if it's a problem? So I realized I needed to understand them, to understand the perspective through which they do their things, and then that is the only way that probably I can stop judging them or looking at them in a different perspective. We need more cultural experiences, cultural exchanges where we can understand about other people and they understand about us. And that is the only way, according to me, one of the ways that we can definitely debunk notions about each other. So the next time that you see me putting on a gomesi, by the way, that's me in a gomesi. Gomesi is a traditional outfit. So the next time that you see me putting it on and like this, you won't be asking yourself, why is she putting on 3 layers of clothes in a sunny or hot climate? Because Africa is so hot. You would understand that this is how we dress when we are attending traditional events, because now you know something about me, you get? And for the people, there are so many stereotypes that go on around, but for the people that think Africa is a homogeneous culture, clearly haven't been to Uganda, where we have 54 clans or tribes, and each tribe has a number of clans, you know, like doing different things, having a different way of life. And for the people that actually claim that We don't have modern technology as when the stereotypes that you see all over social media clearly haven't been to Morocco and South Africa, which are rising modern hubs, you get. So when we visit South Africa and get to see what they do there and understand the perspective through which they do their things, then we cannot stereotype them anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Cissy. And I told you in the beginning that the beginning of a program should really be overwhelming.